Joining me today is Daniel Zellhuber, who fights Francisco Prado at UFC Mexico City on February 24th. So, Daniel, I wanted to start here. Obviously, you're on a great run right now, right? Two wins in a row. But I want to go back to your UFC debut, which was a loss. And some people say, when you have that perfect record or that really good run, the loss takes the pressure off. Some say they learn a lot of information from it. What did you sort of take away from that first loss in the UFC?
Mm, well, first of all, thank you for the interview, bro. Thank you for your time. Uh, you know, I think that after that loss, I learned a lot about me. I learned a lot about like what experience really means. Because to be honest with you, I don't feel that there's like the way that I see it is that when you are in that cage, the experience doesn't really mean nothing. Because at the end of the day, we are all fighting in the UFCs because of something. But what I understand is that what everybody means with experience is how you deal with the fight week, how you deal with the interviews, how you deal with all the pressure, with all the people on top of you. I mean that kind of like first of more important than that is that I learned how to handle all this stuff, and then I also learned that like I need to make a lot of adjustments at that time. Fighting out of Mexico with a perfect record, as you say, kind of like sometimes you felt that you are in a good spot, but probably you are not. So after that fight, I start adding up more things and more tools to my fight camp. I start working with Coach Dewey Cooper, with Coach Jorge Capetillo, with Coach Hector Vasquez. So I really start like adding people to my table in order to grow up all together. In my next fight in the UFC, when I fight Lando Manata, everybody saw that. Then I have my fight against Chris Jagos. I get my first finish. So, I feel that because of this mindset that this loss gave me, I've been in a continuous evolving, like I've been continuous evolving my game, adding more tools, adding more resources. And I feel that at the end of the day, that's what make a better fighter, like how you bounce back from the losses. So I feel that I learn a lot. I keep learning from that loss. And yeah, I hope it never repeats again. But if it does, the only thing that I can do is learn and understand what I made wrong and correct the mistakes and keep going. It's, like at the end of the day, that's the fight game.
Absolutely. Now you mentioned in there, growing mentally and understanding where you needed to be and dealing with all that stuff. But then you also mentioned, having to feel like you had to add more tools or there were pieces that were maybe missing in your training and stuff like that. Can you give us an example of maybe like one of those things that you felt like, probably needed more growth than others?
I don't feel that it's something specific. It's more about like I've been training in Mexico with a small team. And when I move up to Vegas to start training with Coach Eric, it wasn't a good idea move for my first UFC fight with just 7 weeks. But like at the end of the day, that's the way that things happen. And I felt that that doesn't help me a lot because I didn't knew anybody in extreme. Like you know how it is when you are the new in the gym. Like nobody want to train with you, nobody want to really share their secrets, nobody want to help you. And I know that I'm from Mexico, so in Mexico we don't have a lot of wrestling. So that's the main thing that I've been doing this whole year and a half. And I felt that I felt that I show a little bit of that in my fight with Jagos because he's a experienced wrestler. He's well known for how explosive wrestling, and I defend all his takedowns. And now I'm gonna show my offensive wrestling. 'Cause I'm not only working in my defense, I'm working in my offensive wrestling. I'm already a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so I feel that I have a very complete ground game. It's just that I really never have the necessity to show that skills. Have been fighting pretty comfortable on my stand-up game, and now also I'm working with Coach Dewey Cooper on the kickboxing side with Eric, that he's my head coach, kind of like putting everything together. And also I'm working in my boxing with Coach Jorge Capetillo. So as you can see, I'm trying to work all the
So, you mentioned working with all the guys at Extreme Couture, and obviously that's a big piece of changing your game. Dewey Cooper, Eric Nixick, all those guys. But I got a question because obviously this fight being in Mexico City, we're talking high elevation again. Has there been any thought into what you have to do in terms of that? Has there been any special preparation for, that kind of tricky piece of the fight game that sometimes people forget about?
In the PI, we have a lot of great strength conditioning coaches. They get me ready for coming here to the elevation. But, like people are forgetting that I'm from here. I live 21 years, no, 22 years old, 22 years I live here in Mexico City. And the last year I just been like 3 months in Vegas, 3 months here, 3 months in Vegas, 3 months here. So it's not that I'm not used to. At the end of the day, this is my home. So I came here either way. Right now I'm in Mexico. I've been here for the past 3 weeks, and I feel great. Like, to be honest with you, I don't feel the altitude, but again, it's because I live here. So, and either way, I'm well known for having a good cardio. I'm a fighter that I'm always trying to push the pace. I run a lot. I do a lot of cardio workout with my boxing coach. Like, he's like old school guy. He likes to wake up 4 in the morning and go to run in the snow and stuff like that there in Vegas. So kind of like, I know that I have good cardio, and you know all the 2 weeks and a half that I've been here, I've been feeling great. I've been sparring great. The rhythm isn't changed, to be honest with you. So yeah, like, and either way in the PI, they make special things for the high altitude. They give me special supplements. They give me, like, all these sports science that is around MMA now.
That's awesome. So I obviously got to ask too. You said you've been down there in Mexico for a little while now. Is it weird being away from Eric and from Dewey this close to fight time? Is it weird having this much time away? And how does that work out for you?
At the beginning, I was kind of like nervous because, as you say, right, like, I was here with right now. I'm here with my old team, with my team, my Mexico team. They are like my family. But it's funny because the last 3 fights that I have, I've been having like Eric in my corner the whole time, Dewey, my boxing coach, Jorge Capetillo. So kind of like dealing with all these again is a learning experience, because my sports psychologist told me this all the time. The knowledge that they gave me lives in me. At the end of the day, that's the way that I'm trying to see stuff. Like, I know that those guys are busy. They are all world class trainers, and they have more fighters to coach, and they are giving me their time. Don't misunderstood. Like, Eric is always calling me, checking how I am, sending me the classes, sending me what I need to do. We already do the game plan in Vegas. So and like, even with Coach Dewey, his nephew is here helping me with the pad work. So at the end of the day, as my sports psychologist says, all the knowledge that my coaches that are still in Vegas gave me lives in me. The whole point of being a coach is being able to don't say anything to your fighter, and he already knows. So I feel in a good spot mentally and physically. I know that I have a tough fight in front of me, but I trust in the game plan. I trust in that I'm doing the work that I need to do. And I have awesome people here in Mexico with me too, helping me. Coach Eric arrives next week. I'm already here with a lot of team, with my Mexican team, with my family. That's something that it's not usual in my last fight. So I feel good.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that too. We obviously got to talk about your chance to fight on a UFC Mexico City card. It's huge for any athlete to get to fight, in their hometown or close to their hometown or in front of their family and friends. When you found out they were going back to Mexico and then gave you the call to get on that card, what was the reaction like? How did you feel?
It was funny because I felt that I was the first athlete to know about this card, because even before my last fight was September 17. Before that fight, I already knew that they want me to fight in February. Just so you have an idea of how much time does UFC prepare his fight cards, So even before the fight, I already knew that they want me to fight here. So I was happy. I was excited. Man, fighting here in front of my people, it's something that it's special for me. 5 years ago, I was in the crowd watching Jair fight Jeremy Stephens, and now I'm gonna be the co-main event. So for me, that's something huge. It tells me that these last 5 years I've been doing the right things and taking the right decisions. Not everything has been happy as I wanted to, but at the end of the day, here we are. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful for the spot that I am right now. And yeah, man, it's something unbelievable. But yeah, I'm just excited.
That's awesome. Now let's talk a little bit about the fight real quick too. So Francisco Prado, a guy who's clearly been interested in using his ground game lately. You've talked about having a little bit more wrestling in your game and knowing that part of your offensive wrestling is coming around. What do you think of him stylistically and how he matches up with both you and the things you've been working on lately?
I feel that it's like a all classic long guy, short guy fight. At the end of the day, I know that he's gonna try to get inside. I need to keep him outside. use my wrestling, use my jiu-jitsu. I know that I have a better ground game than him. I'm already a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I've had good wrestling, good jiu-jitsu coaches. So, I know that it's gonna be an interesting fight. I know that Francisco likes to bang. He have all his fights by the way of finish, of knockouts, I guess. So I know that he's still young, so that's one of the trickiest things to fight with young fighters is that we are in constant evolve. When you fight like a veterans or guys with more experience, kind of like they already have this specific style, but when you are young, you are continuously evolving. So I kind of like I have an idea of what to expect out of Francisco. But if he does anything else, I'm ready. I'm ready for all the areas in MMA. Like I'm a very competent guy fighting in all the areas. And at the end of the day, that's MMA. You fight underground, you fight on your feet, you fight wherever the fight goes.
That's right. And so, this is usually where I like to end the interviews. Give me a prediction. How's this one end on February 24th?
You know, I I'm never been a fan of give predictions. I definitely feel that I can finish the fight. It's just that I don't know in which round because Francisco's a tough guy. Like he's really a tough guy, and I know that he's gonna go forward. He have the will to eat some punches in order to land some. So I definitely know that I can create the space and finish the fight, but I don't want to rush it. Like if it takes the 3 rounds, take the 3 rounds. If it takes two, one, like I know that I can finish the fight, and that's enough for me.
All right. Well, you're here first, folks. This is then Daniel Zellhuber, who fights Francisco Prado at UFC Mexico City. That fight, once again, February 24th. Daniel, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it too.